afternoon, Chicago. Thank you today for coming out on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. A little bit cold, but when you stand here in the cold, I'd like you to think about the millions of Syrian refugees who have been living in tents now for over 4 years. I see these refugees twice a year when I travel to the Turkish-Syrian border, and every time I go back, the one thing I hope is that when I come back, I won't see any more people living in tents, but instead I'm witnessing their children grow up in plastic tents, and now they're going to be facing their 4th long, cold winter as refugees. I thank you for coming out today to support Syrian refugees and the Syrian people, and to say a very clear message to the governors in the United States and the governors of Illinois, and tell them that refugees are welcome in Illinois, and Chicago is a welcoming city of refugees. Thank you to students organized for Syria, Students for Justice for Palestine, and DePaul University for organizing this event, not only because this is one of the most pressing issues of our lifetime, but because this is an example of solidarity, and that the Syrian and Palestinian people will always be in solidarity with each other against injustice, because we all believe that freedom, dignity, and self-determination is the right of every human being on the planet. 16 to 10,000, even that number, which is so small and minuscule compared to the other countries who have shared the burden of this terrible war, even that is being fought by our U.S. government to stop the 10,000 people from coming in and reduce even the 2,000 that are here. And I think that that's outrageous. And the reason why this is all happening is because of one irrational thought: fear. Fear of Syrian refugees, and an unfounded fear because of the terrorist attacks that happened in Paris, terrorist attacks that's happening in California, terrorist attacks that are happening all across the world. Not one of them has been committed by a Syrian or a Syrian refugee. And Syrian refugees, as people must understand, are fighting the exact same terror that are inflicting these attacks. That everybody must understand that. Every single day inside Syria, people are dying of terror. Hundreds of people are bombed by their own government with barrel bombs. People being bombed by the Russian government with airstrikes. People are being beheaded by ISIS, a foreign entity in our country that we do not want there. We want ISIS out, we want Assad out, we want Russia and Russia's military intervention out, and we want the bombs to stop, because that's the only way where this refugee crisis can end, because Syrians want to just go back home, and that's what they're not able to do because of the world's inaction on Syria. So if we're not going to stop the war in Syria, and we're not going to allow the refugees to come in, then what is the solution for these millions of people? Right now, I was just in Turkey 2 weeks ago, and I met so many kids who have been in Turkey as refugees for only 3 weeks. And they're refugees because of the Russian airstrikes on Syria. Where is this going to end? With millions of kids out of school, millions of families without hope for the future, thousands of people drowning in the Mediterranean just trying to get to Europe. Where is the humanity of the world? All of us must stand together in solidarity with the Syrian people and Syrian refugees and welcome them in and help them end this war of injustice, because Syrians rose up against their government asking for 2 things: freedom and dignity. That's all they asked for, and this is what has happened to the country. It has been destroyed. So please, I ask you all to stand with the Syrian people. I ask you to stand with the Syrian refugees, request that more refugees enter home, but more importantly, request that our governments and the international community faces the root of the problem, which is the Assad regime that's responsible for 95% of the deaths and destruction inside Syria. And at the end, I want to tell you about 2 stories that I witnessed in Turkey to help you understand what Syrian refugees are really like. I met a family of a girl named Sara. She's 18. She finished her high school studies. She wants to go to university. She's fluent in English and Turkish. Her dream is to study English literature. Her 17-year-old brother is teaching himself to be a graphic designer using YouTube, learning Photoshop and Illustrator on YouTube, and getting jobs as being a graphic designer. And their 2 younger brothers and sister are at school. This whole family is living in a house in two rooms big. Their curtains are newspaper covers instead of real curtains. They're living in extreme poverty. They've come all the way to Turkey from Damascus. And the mother is so proud of her kids. All she wants them to do is have a good education. And when I asked them, why did you leave Syria? And they said, because 2 years ago, we witnessed our father, our uncle, and our cousin be executed in front of us by the Syrian government because our father went to a protest. So can you please help me go to university? Because that's the only way I can get a job and I can support my family. I met another family who they have 3 kids that the Karam Foundation is supporting out of many families we support and send their kids back to school. They lost a son 6 months ago in this war. They lost a son-in-law 6 months ago to ISIS. So they've lost 1 son to ISIS, 1 son to the Syrian government. And they're still struggling with being able to send their kids to school. That's their only dream and that's their only hope. These are the Syrian refugees that this country fears. People who want to come and find a better place to live and send their kids to school and go to university and build a better life for themselves and build a better country around them. They're willing to be good citizens and good people and build the world around them, and that's all they want is to get these hopes and dreams and make them come true. So I ask you all to help people like these families, help organizations that do humanitarian aid, sign the petitions, make your voices heard, tell the world about what's going on in Syria, and stand in solidarity because the Syrian people deserve to be free, they deserve their dignity, and they deserve safe shelter. Thank you.
Fantastic. I just want to say thank you guys for coming. When I heard that Bruce Rauner said that refugees were not welcome here, that cut against everything I know to be right. And as a teacher, not just as a teacher though, as a human being. And so it raises really important questions about who is he actually protecting by saying that refugees are not welcome here? What fear is he actually speaking to? Is he speaking to the fear of human beings who actually need help? Because that's not something that I ever want to participate in. Nobody is illegal. Anybody who needs help deserves help. And I think it's our obligation. I'm really proud to see that so many people standing here speaking out against this, speaking out against Bruce Rauner and people in the top of society, saying things that cut against everything that we all know to be true. So I want to say thank you guys for coming out. Make sure you sign the letter, and you know, refugees are welcome here. Thank you.
Relevant to all of us today. So without further ado, please give him a round of applause.
I have to keep it on. Can you hear me like this? Good afternoon. I'd like to thank you very much for being here and make me get out of my couch and coming to stand with you. In fact, we have a saying that the fireman is the only one who's running into building while everybody is running away from the building. And I add to that, tell me how many firemen you have in your society. I will tell you how high the society is. And I believe today that you are the firemen in our society in Chicago. And I believe that we have a fire in our moral value, that we base our society on these moral value. Our founding father found on these moral values, found us on these moral value. I came here 20 or 30 years ago, 91, I stopped counting a long time ago. And every time I read our history, I find my own story repeated in Mayflower, repeated in the 1777, repeated again in 1787, when we wrote down the first constitution in this country. The same reasoning for everyone, from the first guy who landed with Mayflower to the last guy who arrived onto this land running away from Nazis, execution, persecution, all kind of discrimination in the old world. I don't think anybody really in his heart believed that the Syrian refugees, or for that reason any other refugees, are the basis for real fear in this society. We have so many fears that we cannot deal with, so our politicians use this fear because they don't have a real agenda. The real attack today is the human being in the United States. People killing people in the churches. A white guy killed black guys in the churches, in the church. And what happened after that? Immediately the discourse becomes, do we get down the flag or do we keep it up? If that's true or not, I'm not teaching you something you don't know. And then we stop talking about the church bent down, we talk about, oh, we are victorious, we get down the flag. So what? A flag is a flag. But what happened to the heart of the people inside the churches? This is the real attack we have in our society today. I didn't come here to defend Syrian. We have so much, as a Syrian community, we have so much really. But in our society in the United States, we're living a war against the poor, a war against the unemployed, a war against everything that try to make difference. And this war is not covered by our politician. And then when our politicians find an opportunity, like what we call the Syrian immigrants, they jump on the opportunity. When is the last time you saw a program on CNN talking about unemployment? When the last time you look at the Fox News and you see a program for 2 hours, 1 hour, 15 minutes about homeless in Chicago, for example? This is the real war. This is the real threat. Because the fairness, the lack of justice in society, this is what would destroy this society. And what do? We are playing it on the other. Everybody hates us. Ladies and gentlemen, ISIS, the mess in the United States, the mess in Syria and Iraq, it's not a surprise. I was there on the first hand. Our CIA, our State Department, our FBI warned the White House, I know it for truth, I was there, that if we don't do something in 2011, that's what we are gonna get to. And we are getting there. You are going to elect now some president. And I challenge you to choose somebody different than two persons. Either one who is supported by the military industrial complex or the home security industrial complex. Those are the two viable candidates we have here. And I'm sure, sorry, my colleague here wants me to talk about the Syrian. But if there's no justice in the United States, there will be no justice for the Syrian community in the United States also. Our injustice. And our justice is part of the overall justice. I know this is very emotional problem for me, an emotional subject, and we can take that. But this is the truth, guys. We are in the same boat. Syrian, Polish, invasion of Iraq. On the other side, we have 1 million Iraqi family were killed. And we keep doing the same thing, burying our head in the sand. I am sorry to tell you, brother and sister, that the mere fact talking about Syrian refugees as a threat in this society is nothing else than scare tactic. I am not teaching you anything new. I really thank you for being here and thank you for making me get out of my couch. I appreciate this opportunity and have a good day.